Hello and welcome to this video on Humpback from God's Box. Let's check out what's to come before we get into it. Now, thanks to fonk.co.uk for sponsoring this video. Let's first go through what Humpback is and then how it sounds, and then we'll get into a load of nice musical patches. So Humpback is an SEM SEM Oberheim style multimode filter. We have the different filter outputs for low pass, bandpass, high pass and notch, meaning they're all available at any time. An input with plenty of gain and lovely saturation. 2 CV inputs with CV attenuators, big cutoff knob, resonance. It's 8 HP and it's just packed full of character. Now this is a panel refresh to bring it in line with the rest of the God's Box range and modules. Now these God's Box modules are starting to be released. So if after this video you're really desperate for more filter action, go check out the video I did when Humpback was first released. It's got a different panel, but it's the same circuit behind the panel. So let's check out how it sounds. That's the sound of the Humpback. Let's get into some patches. So in this patch, we're going to look at a few different things. The first is simply just getting this nice acidic sound. Now my input is simply 2 pulse waves, one as a sub and one as an octave higher. I'm adding some resonance. And then I've split my volt per octave signal into the first CV input. Now turn this up full. I'm now getting a much more consistent wave shape because the filter's peak and this resonant peak is now moving along with the pitch, following the same sequence. Adding a bit of envelope to that. Sticking with our nice acidic style sequence, let's pull the envelope and let's patch some feedback. So this is following pitch of my input, and I'm going to take the bandpass into CV2. Listen to that overdrive. Unstable, feedback drive, goodness. So here I'm making kick drums with the Humpback. I'm coming out of the Bandpass output into my mixer, totally dry, nothing else going on at all. My mixer's also feeding the scope, but that's it. Now the res is set to self-oscillate. It goes completely bonkers, up full, and just there's this like driven flabby thing. But just backing that off with a nice clean sine. So just tuning that down low, kind of where I'd want to kick. I'm using the Turing machine and it's a pulses expander to give me a rhythm. That's triggering an envelope into CV. And that's it. I would chop this up as audio if I was sampling it, or I'd take it into a VCA usually to clamp down on the sound so it wasn't droning. But I just wanted to listen to Humpback nice and raw, so let's just play around with the mod depth and the tuning. So there's just some of the kick sound you can get, but plugging noise in, and to the input, we get this weird kind of reverb thing I've not heard before when making kicks this way. So here's some noise into the input. Now doesn't it sound like a weird, noisy, kind of car park reverb in the distance? This is still just this, dry, nothing else, just the filter's output. It's almost like that noise is living within a bigger reverberant space. It's strange. If I modulate with it, we can use the oscillating filter to create a nice kind of tone shifting noise source that's way more interesting than the noise source on its own. And of course that through a low pass gate or VCA, nice tight envelope, you'll get a lot of great wide ranging percussion. But back to our kick one last time, and into the actual audio input. I like this kind of, yeah, it sounds like a reverberant space in my headphones, it's strange. No idea why it's doing it, but I like it. So here the Humpback is controlling the feedback path around my delay. I'm using the Turing machine, being clocked on quarter notes. The sequence is mainly playing 16th notes. You can see this plodding along and it's changing the cutoff, therefore changing the tone of this feedback around my delay. Now here's my dry sound. Simple low pass gate and a wavetable and a very basic sequence. It's very bright. And the delay, let's turn the modulation off, has its send and return coming into the Humpback. So playing with resonance and input level, we can really tailor this gorgeous tone in the delay. And this is the bandpass output. Nice degrading, saturating, dubby kind of trails. Or nice dull undertone. But modulating every quarter note. Gives us these interesting stepping, shifting tones in our delay's feedback path. So let's just play around for a second before I walk through this patch. Ooh, I like that feedback. So this is an oscillator with some subs and some noise mixed in, coming into the scope, playing around this XY image off of the low pass filter's output. That's what we're listening to. The low pass doesn't go anywhere else. It's dry into my mixer. Playing around with the input level and the resonance, and with a whole range of nice acidic sounds, driven sounds, softer low pass sounds as well. Nice tight envelope into the first CV, Turing machine into the second. That stepped random from the Turing machine really shines with some resonance. And of course, nice driven resonance and envelopes. Nice and acidic. Now I said it didn't go anywhere else. It did. There's a send from my mixer. Let's just set up a basic sound again. Feeding the Music Thing modular spring reverb, fully wet, feedback up high, and the Lollipop is clamping down on the feedback. So as I bring that channel back in, because it's not clamping down on the gain, but as it starts increasing in level, feeding this in again, it's really clamping down on this spring reverb feedback path. It's just a little patch to share. So here we'll take a look at audio rate modulation. And all those lovely vocal formant-like tones it gives a filter. Now my input is a low pitch saw. We're coming out of the low pass for now. In fact, let's change the band. And I have some audio rate modulation into CV1. Very glottal, throat-like sound. I'm going to tune down my audio rate source. Let's hear that on high pass. Tune it up again. And notch as well for good measure. Because the notch is just this, well, notch moving around the frequencies spectrum with a cutoff, we still have the weight and energy of the input. Bonkers resonance. So there's just a few quick audio rate overtones. So here we're using Humpback as our sound source. It's a pinged filter. I'm using the mimeophone just off screen here with the Turing machine, again just off screen to this side, modulating it. Let's lose the effects. And here's the raw sound out of the Humpback. I'll pull out my modulation for now. This one we're going to come to, you've not heard it yet anyway. This one is my sequence. Now the idea of pinging a filter is to get it very nearly oscillating. Now if we trigger this with some kind of gate or trigger, in this case the pulses expander on the Turing machine, when it's very nearly oscillating, that's what we call a pinged filter, or filter pings. So here's this trigger coming in. Not particularly exciting, it just sounds like a trigger, but as we pull this resonance up, can you hear there's a tone starting to get into this sound? It's nearly oscillating. Good for bass drums. Now if I sequence this, CV up full, volt per octave sequence, get some interesting, very West Coast flavoured little synth blips. Now before we do anything else, I'd like to plug in some audio rate modulation to CV2. I'm going to sequence my audio rate source. So it becomes a really interesting, different synth sound. Losing that modulation, bringing volt per octave back in to CV1. Let's bring the mimeophone back in, which is being modulated by the Turing machine. And we've taken this beautiful, fat, rich, driven, very East Coast subtractive style filter onto a little bit of West Coast weirdness. So this patch is using the notch output to create phaser-like motion within a patch. Now there's some compression going on, some spring reverb with some feedback going on, and some modulation after Humpback with another filter and VCA. So let me mute that and take the actual output of the Humpback straight into my mixer. And this is a simple mix of 3 saw waves. There's that notch filtering. We've got 2 LFOs coming into data there. The first one is faster than the second one. So I'm using 2 unsynced analog triangle LFOs to create my motion. So that's it for this video on the Humpback. If you're dying for more sound, check out my first Humpback filter demo video linked in the description. Thanks again to fonk.co.uk for sponsoring this video. Go support my work on patreon.com/DivKid if you like what I do. If not, leave a comment, thumbs up, all the usual kind of gabber for the end of a YouTube video. I'll see you next time. Cheers for watching. Bye.